We are at a potentially pivotal moment for luxury watch enthusiasts. The grey market for Rolex timepieces has seen a gradual, uniform decline, with values now hitting their lowest point since the 2021 peak. But this isn't just a dip, it is a seismic shift that has prospective buyers rethinking their strategies. The question looming large: do you seize this bear market opportunity to finally buy your long-desired Rolex, or wait, hoping prices fall even further? So let's dissect the forces at play, determine if the downward trend is still ongoing or has flatlined, and go through each and every most sought after Rolex to objectively answer if you should snap it up or stand by. Hi guys, welcome back. Now, it's no secret, of course, that for Rolex, prices have been in a downward spiral for the last 2.5 years now. Over the last 3 months though, however, it's also obvious to me that prices have started to flatline. We have seen several retail price increases from Rolex, and I do believe to a certain extent that has helped in maintaining the prices of Submariners, Daytonas, GMT Masters on the secondary market. Whether it is now worthwhile waiting any longer, or whether that gap between the price at retail and on the secondary market is just so small that it is negligible and not worth your while or time in waiting. I think there's no better place to start than with the Submariner line. Now let's start off with my favorite Submariner. It is the No Date 124060. I've said before, guys, that this is a watch that you can actually quite easily pick up at a authorized dealer, brand new, if you're willing to wait a few weeks. Wait lists don't really exist for them because everybody wants the date version, and at retail this is an £8,050 watch. The secondary market does sit slightly higher than that. If we have a look at 3 months ago, the market value in April was £10,000 for this watch. Now it has dropped actually to around £9,300. Should you buy now on the secondary market or keep waiting? Well, for this one, guys, neither of them. I think if you're willing, if you're patient enough to wait a few weeks, maybe a couple of months at the most, you should be able to get this at retail. So the best deal to get this is brand new for £8,050. So that leads me swiftly on to the more sought after Submariner Date 126610. This particular reference, of course, still sits well in excess of the retail price. That's because a waitlist exists at the authorized dealer, and quite frankly, I think that always will be. The retail on this now is £9,000. The market value on this watch 3 months ago was £11,300, but again, similar to the Submariner No Date, this has also continued to fall since then, and fallen by another £1,000 on the grey market. Given that that isn't a great deal over the retail price, and I don't think the secondary market price really is going to get much closer to the retail, I think now is the time to buy that. Moving swiftly on to the Submariner Bluesy then. The last time we looked at the value of this on the secondary market 3 months ago, it sat at £13,500, which at the time was slightly below the retail for a unworn condition piece. Today, in July 2024, this watch still sits at £13,500, so there hasn't been any movement at all on the secondary market for this, and that is probably to blame for the fact that the retail price has since gone up. So that increase in retail price from £13,750 to £14,200 has probably helped to hold firm the value of this watch on the secondary market, despite the fact it still sits below the retail. So of course the decision on this one would be there's absolutely no point in waiting any further. This is a better deal than at retail. It's GMT time for all of those wannabe jet setters out there. Let's kick this off with a relatively new piece, the GMT Master 2, aka the Guinness. This is the two-tone yellow gold and steel model. This particular watch 3 months ago sat on the secondary market at £14,750. That was slightly above the retail, which sat at £14,600. But now, guys, because of a Rolex retail price increase, that now sits below. So should you buy this or keep waiting? There's been no movement. It now sits below retail. It's a no-brainer. Go out and buy it on the secondary market. Let's take a look at the brand new release GMT Master with the black and grey bezel. For me, this is boring. It's a boring piece. It was boring when it was released. It was the most interesting release of Watches and Wonders this year, which says a lot about Rolex's releases, I would say. This hit the market at around £22,000. I told everybody to keep well away from that and keep waiting. 3 months on, you can now find this watch for around £15,750. However, guys, the retail for this is £9,350, so it still sits considerably more, considerably higher than that retail price. And I look at that and weigh that up against a Batman, for example. They sit around £13,000-14,000 on the secondary market. I think this is a watch which is less interesting than the Batman and eventually will fall below the Batman prices on the secondary market. So should you buy this or keep waiting? I would absolutely keep waiting. What about the all-elusive Pepsi? Now, when I say that, that's because there aren't that many out there in brand new unworn condition, and I think it is that probably artificial limiting of supply that we're seeing from Rolex, which is keeping prices quite high. 3 months ago, of course, the big question was, is this going to be discontinued? I advised people not to buy that on the belief it would be. 3 months ago, the value of this sat at an incredible £17,500 for a Jubilee version on the secondary market. Naturally, I predicted when that isn't discontinued that it will fall in value, and it has. On the secondary market, they're now worth around £16,500, albeit they haven't fallen as much as I thought they would. I just don't think it's worth the money. I think it's well overpriced, and I do think that if over the next few months, at least before the next new releases at Watches and Wonders, this will continue to fall. So if you buy this a couple of months before all the hype starts again next year, everybody predicting that this will be discontinued, I'm sure this will fall at least another £750 to another £1,000 potentially. Let's look at the Oyster Perpetual 41 with the Celebration dial, or as I like to call it, the Paella Vomit dial. It is a repulsive watch. I've never liked it. I don't think it works on the male wrist. 3 months ago when we last looked at this was a £13,500 watch on the secondary market, and it still is in July 2024. So there hasn't been any movement in price on that one at all. Where does this sit at retail? This is a £5,550 watch. So personally, I would keep waiting on this watch. However, when it is discontinued, eventually I'm sure that this will once again go through the roof. How about the Oyster Perpetual 41 with the green dial then, the other most popular Oyster Perpetual? 3 months ago, we were looking at these around £8,000 on the secondary market, and since then they have fallen to £7,500. So not a dramatic fall on that, but that is still considerably higher than the retail price of £5,550. If you've got the time to wait maybe a few months at the authorized dealer, then I think you should be able to get your hands on one of these at the retail price. So it really is one that I'll leave to you there, but for me, I just couldn't be bothered to wait. How about the relatively new release of the Yachtmaster 42 in titanium? Now, when we were looking at this 3 months ago, dealers were quite hopefully asking £35,000 for this on the secondary market. Whether they sold for that price is anyone's guess. I doubt it, to be honest with you. I predicted that that would continue to fall in value, and that is exactly what has happened. Now we see those sitting at £25,500 on the secondary market, so a considerable fall there in the last few months. However, that still sits at double the retail price, which is £12,350. So what would I do with this watch? Well, given how much it has fallen over the last 3 months, which we would consider in the general scheme of things to be quite a steady 3 months on the secondary market, I think that this will continue to fall further. Let's move on to the Explorer range then and start with the Explorer 40. 3 months ago, this was valued on the secondary market at £7,000, and now I can see them advertised for a brand new unworn condition at £6,800. So really within the margin of error there. There hasn't been much change on that at all, so we can consider that that watch has flatlined. Retail price on this is, however, £6,650. So this sits only very marginally above the retail price on the grey market. So guys, I'd just go out and buy that now on the secondary market for the sake of a couple of £100. Is it worth waiting? Is it worth playing all the games at authorised dealers? Absolutely not. How about the Explorer 2 with the more popular polar dial. 3 months ago, we valued these at around £9,000, and now I can find them anywhere between £8,000 and £8,500. And for me, that's just great value for money. I mean, you're getting a GMT watch with a GMT complication there for considerably less than any of the GMT master line, that is. So this is a great watch. I think that you should just go out and buy that now, because the price at retail for that now is the same. It's £8,500. So just go out and buy this on the secondary market. Moving on to Datejust 41s, the most popular DJ 41 with Wimbledon dial. In this case, we should be really referring to the fluted white gold bezel and Jubilee bracelet. This is the combination that everybody wants. 3 months ago, this was a watch which was valued at around £11,000, and at the moment I can find these for around £10,500, but the retail price on this is £9,300. I think there's still some way to go for this. I think that we will reach a point where all Datejust, regardless of the configuration or dial color, will be below that retail price. I would advise you to keep waiting on this. It's day date time, and let's talk about the day date olive. Oh yes, the king of the Rolex collection that everybody wanted at the peak of the market, which reached heights, I believe, of around £80,000 on the secondary market. Well, how times have changed. 3 months ago, we were looking at this watch in the secondary market in unworn condition, valued at around £36,500. Well, we find ourselves in a situation in July 2024 where the value is around the same. So there hasn't been much movement on that watch at all. And guys, that is because that watch now sits below the retail price, and there is now a £37,800 watch at the authorized dealer. Would I buy it now on the secondary market? Well, I still think there's some way for this one to go. If we look at some of the other day dates, they are trading at around £33,000, £34,000. I think the hype has totally disappeared on this particular dial color, which is the whole reason that this watch did really well anyway. If you can't be bothered to keep waiting on this watch, then the other big piece of advice I can give you is to negotiate hard on this. Watches of around that £35,000 price point, guys, a dealer should have a margin of a couple of £1,000s at least in that watch. How about the 1908 then? This is a particular favorite of mine in the yellow gold case with black dial. Now, 3 months ago, we were looking at these on the secondary market for around £22,500, and now they can be found for £21,000. So that has fallen slightly. The retail on this is £20,100. So frankly, at £900 more, yes, you might as well just pull the trigger on that now on the secondary market. But I would say that this is a watch which no one is asking for at the authorized dealer. You might as well save that £900, put your name down on a wait list, potentially be waiting just a few weeks for that. Let's take a look at the Skydweller collection then, and specifically the most sought after Skydweller in steel on the Jubilee bracelet with the green dial. Now, 3 months ago, we were looking at this watch. It was worth around £23,000 on the secondary market, and you can now find these at £21,000. However, that is still considerably higher than the retail price of £14,050 for this piece. So is it worth spending £8,000 more on that watch on the secondary market? I don't think so. So I would keep waiting for that watch to fall even further. Let's take a look at the Skydweller with the blue dial then. This was a watch 3 months ago which you could find at £18,500, and the situation today is very much the same. That's still considerably higher than the retail price of £14,050. So on the basis of the last 3 months, you could suggest that maybe it has reached the bottom of the market, but I still think, personally, it's just my own opinion, that this still has some way to fall. So I would keep waiting for this for another 6 months at least. If not much happens, then just go out and buy it. Finally, let's talk about the juicy Daytonas in stainless steel, and particularly the black dial. Now we're looking at the brand new reference with the new movement, the 126500 line. 3 months ago, this black dial variation you could find around £23,800, and now it has fallen down to £22,500. I still think there is absolutely that novelty aspect there built into the premium of this watch. I think it's worth also comparing the price of that black dial 126-500 model with the older reference you can now find in unworn condition for around £18,700. So is it really worth it getting that new reference? I think it does show that there's still a lot of novelty built into that premium on the secondary market, and that there is still some room for this to fall. That leads me on to the final one, which is the Daytona Panda. 3 months ago you could pick this up on the grey market for a princely sum of £26,000, and now it's a watch you can find at £25,000. So it's fallen, but not that much. I think it's very much the same case with the black dial. There is a premium associated with the novelty built into the value of that watch. If we compare that to a brand new unworn condition 116-500 Panda, then you can find these at £21,500. So there is a massive difference there of £3,500 on the grey market compared to a retail, which is irrelevant anyway, of £13,200. So I would absolutely keep waiting. So that wraps it up then, guys. What did you think of that? Has it swayed any of your decision making? If you've been one of those guys that's just been waiting for these last couple of years for the bottom of the market, is it now the time to do that? I'll see you again soon. Please go check out beatthewaitlist-watches.com. Take care.